pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome back to Why's That? And now, here we go. This is question number 50. And I tell you, the fact that I've already gotten this far is kind of baffling. But at the same time, I feel like it's great to simply work ahead. The recording date of this episode is August 5th, 2020. And from what I can tell already, there's going to be a lot of other things I'm going to have to do here on my channel in terms of anything at all here. There's going to be more Why's That content coming soon as well, so let's stick around to that. But for now, let's just get through to the question here. This one, I'm hoping to start with some more explanations on this particular question itself. Because down here, it asks me, why is that Kaiju Force Neo ended up going through a blackout period between January 2013 and June of 2018? Now, of course, if you're not familiar with it, then well, let me explain. Especially with the fact that since I first started my channel, I was willing to do anything. But of course, the real kicker here is that throughout 2011 and 2012, those were times where I was so immature, so naive, so stupid, so reckless, and so traumatizing to most people out there. I was just a raging fury back then. I was relentless during that time. The early 2010s were pretty much just a big mixture of those things there. It's something that continues to happen to this day because it is in fact my nature. These are things I can't normally control because these are, after all, emotional outbursts relevant to that of the mental condition known as autism spectrum disorder. And that is in fact what I had been diagnosed with when I was just really young. So of course, it was no surprise given to the fact that regardless of whatever peer that I've had back in the day, I was in fact going to react to them in some way that no other person would. Because that's just what my nature was. It was much worse back then than it is now, so I might as well go ahead and explain a few things about it because, as a matter of fact, even to this day, here in summer and fall of 2020, I still keep getting asked about some of the same things that I used to do many years ago. But my answer to that, to everyone out there, especially to all of you people out there, Connor Fry, Michael Tibbles, Sinjin Hazi, Lucas Gromholski, I forgot your name, sorry. Especially to all of you guys out there who have known my channel for a long time. The answer to that is no. I am not going back to those days where I had my old ways. I was naive enough to think that nothing very serious could ever happen to me. Anything I did on the internet, I felt like I would have no consequences for. But unfortunately, that would all come to an end, once and for all. January 3rd, 2013, one of those days where I got back into North Middle School after, well, winter break was pretty much over and done with. I got called down to the front office at the time. The PA system simply called me down. And I noticed a few police cruisers outside the building, in the parking lot, with their lights on. I could tell something was going on. Something I was really scared about. Yeah. Sure enough, there were 5 cops, including a lieutenant, standing there waiting for me. I am not kidding around here when I say that, wow, they were sure pissed off at what they noticed on my channel. I had things going on there like slitting my wrist, spitting out popcorn seeds out through an open window onto someone's hair, and dunked myself in the toilet and drank the water. I am not kidding. It was so awful. Like, everything that I've ever done on my channel during those years. Of course, YouTube didn't do anything about it because those were the times where no action was pretty much taken for videos of any sorts. Of course, YouTube would occasionally put age restrictions on people's videos, and during that time, throughout 2011 and 2012, they would also sometimes bleep out certain videos and the like, or block people's videos, as in they like mute them sometimes. But in my case, none of those things ever happened. So as a result, the Menomonee Falls Police Department decided to take action into their own hands. And so at that time, January 2013, when I noticed the lights were on, police cruisers out in the parking lot, and there were 5 cops standing inside of the front office waiting for me, I knew something was up. Something that I might have done that was witnessed by someone of any sorts. Either that, or it could have been something else that I might have done. Of course, the whole thing just went down like this. I got into the office. I was told to sit down, just like that. And that kind of made me feel a little relieved that they were not, in fact, going to arrest me for anything at all. But unfortunately, I got told to get right back up, and I immediately got patted down by someone. No joke. The same vice principal that I have talked with in the past ended up patting me down. And there were things in there, my backpack, my coat, my pants, my boots that I was wearing there at the time, were things like playing cards, pens, a couple souvenirs and the like that had been found. I had no idea what was going on at the time until the lieutenant came in, pulled up a chair and sat down right in front of me and looked me in the eyes. Before I knew it, I was told that this whole situation relating to me had something to do with all the stuff that I've done on my YouTube channel, especially from 2009 to 2012. That's what I realized. That even though no one on YouTube themselves, no one in Google, as a matter of fact, would do anything about it, anyone locally could do something instead. If no action were to be taken online, then of course, I'd have to have a real-life confrontation. Of course, the whole thing was over in about 20 minutes or so, but to me, it was so traumatizing, as a matter of fact. Of course, those officers of the law, thank you for your service, if you will. I don't know what to think about you today, here in summer 2020, when people hate you. But knowing what you did back then, in January 2013, I guess you really taught me a lot. But wow. Never have I ever thought in my entire life that something like that would ever happen, all because of a few videos on the internet. If the country is that serious about protecting everybody around here, then well, who knows what else could happen. I did explain to them that a lot of the things that I've done on there were staged, and I had no intent on harming other people with things that I've done. And more importantly, I was in a controlled environment. But even then, it didn't really convince them that I should keep my channel. And as a result, the lieutenant especially asked me to go through a 6-month long period of time without internet. I pretty much agreed. But in all honesties, the whole thing lasted for more than 6 months. 5.5 years, as a matter of fact. And I will say for sure that After it was all over, after my time at school was all over on January 3rd, 2013, I immediately got called down to the basement at my parents' house, where we would both look up everything that I've ever uploaded to my channel in general. And let me tell you, every family member that was at the time, they were all devastated that I could do such things on the internet without any consequences. And as a result, they all forced me to give me their email and password and every other bit of information that would keep my channel secured at all times. Of course, I was able to fight back and get my channel back after like 3 years at least. But let me just say, I was that naive enough to think that nothing like that could ever happen. But wow, was I stupid? Was I idiotic? Was I just completely demoralized? But you know what? The 5.5 years that I took off before I finally brought my channel back after graduating high school, that was the time where I decided to make my channel public again, as they had privated my channel itself and all the videos that were in it. They also told me that they deleted some of them. But let me just say that that was actually a lie, because when I got my channel back once and for all on September of 2016, and I just want to explain a little bit about that real quick because it took that long for me to get that back to them, because after all, the 6-month, blackout period pretty much was only intended by the cops especially, but not from the family, as a matter of fact. They intended for me to go as long as possible without doing anything on YouTube. Wow. They're just overreacting. I did explain to both the police and to the family that they were staged. They were faked. They were choreographed. They were plugged, pretty much. But that didn't convince any of them. Of course, I was able to shape my behavior up in the last 7 years, pretty much. And even to this day, I still do have a lot of problems that still go on, probably forever. I'll continue to have them, because no one should ever have to trust anything that I will ever say in my entire life until the day I die. But autism spectrum disorder is not a systematic set of choices that I make on my own terms. It's just a natural thing that happens. Emotional outbursts happen. Physical things can also happen occasionally, because that's what autism spectrum disorder does to you. If you can't take that information from other people who have that same exact condition, then well, I don't know what's going to have to happen here. But still, I might as well just re-emphasize in the fact that, well, I secretly had my channel since September 2016, as I was able to gain access back to it just by clicking on the "Didn't Change Your Password" segment below the login screen at the time. And because I was able to pick up a used phone at that time, I was able to fully gain access back to my channel once and for all. And since September 2016, I pretty much just continued to lay low until the time was necessary. And then, on June 2018, about a week after I graduated high school, that was the time where I brought my channel back once and for all. Everything has been made public once again. But still, there had been a ton of things that I ended up losing along the way. I had a lot of content of mine that I had pretty much erased on my own terms because I felt like I could have done a whole lot better. And speaking of which, there was in fact an entire video where I pretty much intended on making a confession about gaining my channel back without anyone's permission. And that I secretly have been keeping my channel back since that time. But that I recorded back in September 2016, and I pretty much had made it public in June 2018, but there have been quite a lot of videos that their dates have pretty much been shifted from the times that they have been made private to the times that they made public. So, there's a ton of them that say June 2018 on them. And that's because I had uploaded them and set them to private. And apparently, the publication dates don't appear properly until you make them public. So, I don't know. I probably could have just made them public, but I probably fear that would have sent a notification out to people who have already subscribed, and as a result of that, I could probably end up in more trouble. Yeah. Also not a joke. None of these things are jokes. I don't intend on having comedy, humor, and sarcasm at all when I'm talking about serious things that I do not make up, that I do not lie about, that I do not have anything to do with any of these things that relate to deception, distrust, and, well, discharge. But you know what now? Here in summer 2020, I'm hoping to look back on that entire blackout period that I had from 2013 to 2018 to pretty much show that I am not what people might think of me as. That I'm truly not that way. I have changed my ways as a whole. I have been uploading more family-friendly sort of content on my channel with no cuss words. Yeah, that's a good start right there that people should get to know about. And at the same time, I've also got content that is pretty much free from a lot of things out there that most of today's programs that relate to television and films. There's a lot of horrible language in them, violence, gestures, and sometimes nudity and the like. I don't want to go there, but anyways, that's pretty much all I got to talk about in terms of that particular part of my life. The last 10 years have been quite a big endeavor when it came to my channel. But you know what? The last 2 years have been absolutely big. And I'm going to continue making sure that it becomes big, and as a result, my channel itself gets to where I want it to be. To accomplish as many goals as possible, but also to have a lot of other things that I would want to continue doing here on my channel as much as possible. With all the content that I've made in the last 5 years or so, even during the blackout period, I still had a lot of content that I made, including Nerf Secret Revealed and, well, the start of Gaming with Kaiju Force Neo, and also Hobio's Hilarity was beginning to go through some development during that time. Of course, a lot of these things have been visible since only summer of 2018, unless, of course, if you have seen some of them before. Some of these things have been re-uploads, some of these things have been, well, reboots, redos, reschedules, and the like, but that's only because I've had a lot of difficulty trying to adjust through some of these things in general. But you know what? Looking at what I'm going to have today and onwards, the future hopefully is bright. Shining bright. But that's pretty much it here that I got to talk about my channel based on everything that's ever happened during that time itself. It was really big. It was really important for me. And of course, it really taught me so much. And the fact that I was so naive back then really goes to show that I really need to watch myself out there. Because anything could happen when I do something like this. Of course, there's always the idea of deleting a video, though I'm still not sure about the myth of photos and videos that get posted to the internet that can never be truly deleted. I'm going to emphasize in the fact that, well, it's just a myth. No one has ever tried to bring back an old photo or video of mine from the internet after it had already been deleted. No one. There's never been any solid evidence or proof that's shown that any of my videos and photos that get deleted can get brought back by other people out there. It never can. That's why. And if this is not going to prove anything to you, then, well, others will. If I can't prove it to you, then others will. At least I'm not a one-person army when it comes to concluding this with a solid piece of evidence about all this. But in general, I feel like I'm going way too deep in on some of this other stuff I have going on. But anyways, that's pretty much it for this question. And I still got a big load of questions left that I got to answer here. But if you want to see more, go down on my channel. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.